With loads of business advice flooding the industry, it has never been harder to see the path to success. And you can't take action if you don't have clarity. Get clear on the actionable tips and strategies that will help to scale your business here on Masters in Clarity, the podcast that brings you clarity around messaging, business growth, digital marketing, personal development, and the business owner's journey to success. Let's join our guide, the master of turning clarity into action and lasting impact, Dolores Hirschmann.
So Melissa, thank you so much for saying yes to the Masters in Clarity podcast. And as we begin, I always ask kind of this standard question to all my guests is, talk to me about your clarity journey, because everybody thinks like, oh, I know exactly what to do, so I'll do it. And everything is linear and organized. But I think it's a journey.
I couldn't agree more. So I was thinking about this question before we logged on together. And I would say the journey for me was finding the intersection between what I'm really great at and what I love to do. And you would think that we would be teaching this to kids in school or going at least a class in college. But for me, it was about 30 when I figured out what those were. And so clarity for me was the fact that I had over a decade of experience in marketing, working for some of the most valuable brands in the world. But what I love to do is to support other women.
I love that. And it's funny because that was my journey as well. As I was evolving and switching and what do I want to do, I simply asked myself, what would I do for free all day long?
Right.
Which really is like what I love to do and what I'm good at. Because you will never do for free something that is hard to do. Like that, something that comes hard. It's something that flows, right?
Right.
So I love that we have that in common, because that's where true flow comes. Mm-hmm. When you can wake up every morning knowing that what you are doing and how you're supporting your family, because we're women in business and finances matter, is also what you would do if you didn't have to support your family.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what fuels the fire, and keeps you going when you're not feeling motivated and you're tired and you don't want to log into that next meeting. It's that passion.
I love that. So let's talk about what is it that you do? What is the thing that you love to do?
So my core business is a marketing firm and we're a content company. So we work a lot with tech companies, and I look at us as translators. We take the very complex applications and software that they build, and we create really powerful visuals so that consumers can understand it and buy it. And in about 5 years ago, I started to take my expertise in this area of storytelling and branding and marketing. And as a business owner myself, and as a woman business owner, I became really passionate about helping women achieve that same level of marketing, but in an affordable way. Nowadays, you just don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to have great marketing. And so through this platform that we built, Women Entrepreneurs, Inc., I bring all of my expertise to bear to help women become more visible and connect them to opportunities like partnerships, speaking, press, awards, grants. Because if there's one thing I've learned about being a business owner myself, it's that the world can't buy from you if they don't know who you are.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. So you still have the other agency chugging along, working with corporate software type of clients. But then here's Entrepreneurs Inc. And I like it because it's like Masters in Clarity is an Inc. So I always told my kids it's Monsters Inc. So it's like Women Entrepreneurs Inc. And so talk to me about the importance of visibility. Why is it so critical? What is possible once a woman is seen and is heard? Once we grab the microphone, what is possible?
Yeah, anything. I work with a lot of women business owners to launch their business or relaunch their business. And women, especially, I think, can spend a lot of time bottling things and getting things right and making sure it's perfect before they get out there. And sometimes by the time they do that, they've missed a window, or they've discovered that the market doesn't want what they're selling. And so I try to help women get visible early so that they can learn. You got to get your idea out into the wild. You got to get your voice out into the wild and see how people react and resonate or don't, to be able to pull back and re-swizzle and pivot. And I think women are really good at that once we do it. But you got to take that first step and have a voice and put it out there.
Yeah. And I'm hearing progress over perfection, and your voice evolves in the air, like in the speaking, in the being out there versus in a vacuum. But what is visible? How do you know you have succeeded with one of your clients? Am I visible right now? I don't know. How do we know? And what's enough?
Yeah, I think that probably the number one way to know is if opportunities are coming to you. When you're not visible, we're in constant mode to find opportunities and break down doors and listen to me and give me a chance. When you are consistently putting yourself out there in a very clear, concise, and compelling way, all of a sudden the script gets flipped and people start coming to you. And rather than you begging people to come on your podcast, right? People are begging you to come on theirs. And that's a very, very powerful thing as a business owner, because it allows us to spend all of our time on what we're really great at and not just stuck in the constant sales cycle.
I love that. So let's dig into that. So if the goal is to say, okay, I'm going to go from invisible to visible, and as you define it, visible means that it's a dance of seeking new opportunities, but being seeked out as well, right? Like people know you're there and they're knocking on your door, right? Whether it's opportunities or clients, either way, that's good. Mm-hmm. Or both, or sometimes a mix. What has shifted, or what does that look like in 2022? Because I'm sure if we had done this interview in 2019, it would have been one answer, but 2022 is a different answer. So what is working for fast tracking the visibility? What is the fastest path to being visible in 2022?
Yeah, I would say 5 things, 5 levers that you can pull to get more visible.
Oh, I like this. I like structure.
Grants. And believe it or not, there's more and more grants becoming available for women entrepreneurs. It's not reserved for just nonprofits anymore. In fact, a lot of female founders like Sarah Blakely, Tory Burch are launching grants because they want to support women-owned business. And it's not just about the money, Dolores, it's the PR buzz. Right? It's the PR buzz.
Yeah.
And it's the networking that comes along with that. And the other thing is, you don't even have to win. Even if you're a finalist, right? You're making some great connections and you're probably getting a little PR buzz as well. So I love grants. Awards, makes me gag. I would never want to go after an award. That is not my love language, being recognized. But listen, it is something we should all be doing. There's plenty organizations out there that want to feature women, especially within your community. They want to tell your stories. And a lot of times it's done through these award programs. It's that third party validation. It helps you get visible by saying, look, I'm worth paying attention to.
Love that.
Another one is press. Press is not that hard to get. It's just research. It's finding the outlets that are already talking about women like you, more specifically.
Haro, right?
Yes, exactly. Haro, awesome tool. It's also finding the contributor, that exact woman or man that's talking about you, and pitching yourself to get that opportunity. You got to get those logos. In such a crowded, cluttered space, you have to have that third party validation. And then lastly would be speaking opportunities. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not a business coach. I'm just an entrepreneur. But, we talked about using our voice earlier. We can't just be talking on our own channels all the time and our own email lists. We've got to get on other people's channels and in front of their audiences so that we can get more visible and grow and have those opportunities come into us.
So you said 5, you said grant, award, speaking,
press, and I'll throw Yep. I'll throw in one more, which is partnerships.
Partnerships.
Really at the foundation of Women Entrepreneurs Inc. is I want women creating partnerships with each other. What often happens is as we grow and as we develop our own following and we're a leader or maybe even a micro influencer, we're so focused on our following. I want women leaders to start connecting with other women leaders. I mean, it's exactly what we're doing here today, right? You have a brand and a following, and I have a brand and a following. And by us coming together, we're better together. Partnerships. And, there's not a brand out there right now that doesn't want to partner with women entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
It is on the top of their list. The opportunities are out there.
Here's what I love. So I ask you, how do you become visible in 2022? And what is brilliant about your answer is that you didn't say social media. And I want to make a note because you mentioned 5 things:
Mm-hmm.
grants, awards, press, speaking, and partnerships. Mm-hmm. And those are how you spark visibility. Mm-hmm. Social media is how you promote the spark.
Exactly.
It's a highway, guys.
It is.
It's not where the action happens. You got to have something to say in social media. So people, I think people think, oh, I show up in social media and now I'm visible. But if you show up with nothing to contribute, mm-hmm. nothing to say, I am in partnership with this. And so now there's visibility and growth in visibility through social media, or I'm part of this awardee and you attach yourself to a brand. What I'm trying to say is social media is a highway, but if you don't have it attached to initiatives that you have, like in this 5 that you mentioned, you're literally speaking to your mom and your dad who follows you on Instagram.
Yes, you got it. I recorded a reel about this the other day because isn't it so funny when you spend all day on this beautiful, social media post, and all you get is all your friends saying, love your lipstick, and your mom saying like, good job, girl, and you're like, where are the ideal clients pouring in?
Where's the growth? Where's the new followers?
Yeah.
Where is actually the expansion of visibility?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm so passionate about, business owners in general, getting out from behind their computer. Not everything can be done behind the screen. Some of these, speaking opportunities, you might have to travel for, but this is a really important lesson we all have to learn, is that to get visible can sometimes be uncomfortable and it can be vulnerable. I'm reading Brene Brown's Dare to Lead right now, and I'm learning that even right now on this podcast, I feel vulnerable because I don't like to speak that often. It's not a weakness. This is leadership. This is what we have to do to get visible. We have to become more comfortable with it.
And so if we bring this all together, Melissa, is that we started this conversation around, I needed to learn or to understand what I'm good at and what I love to do in order to find my path. And with that clarity comes the commitment of, I am committed. I don't just love to support women. I am committed to women. It's a very different statement. Mm-hmm. And with that commitment, I said, then I'm committed to my visibility. And how I feel about it is secondary to my commitment to what I'm called to do in this world. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to say this because as women, you're not alone in that. Mm-hmm. As I was mentioning, I hop into the podcast. I'm in pain. I was like, should I cancel the call with Melissa? Because I don't look good. Haven't slept for a week. Mm-hmm. Like I look tired, but I'm committed to bringing this podcast out on a regular basis to people understanding that the clarity journey, the impact journey, the calling journey is bigger than how we feel about it.
Yes. I agree. The hashtag women supporting women, it's just a hashtag if there's not action. Exactly. And it is a daily decision to support one another. And it can be as small as following someone on social media or commenting or sharing and liking on their post. It could be co-hosting an event rather than always trying to do it on our own. It can be collaborating, it can be bartering, but it is a daily decision that you are going to be a champion for women, even if it can be uncomfortable or hard or push you out of your comfort zone.
I love that. And actually, I don't usually do this in a podcast, but and I'm going to make this in the show notes and in the social media share of this podcast, but I want this podcast to request an action from the people who watch it or see the feed on our social media posts. And it's if you are listening to this podcast, I want you to go and comment and tag a business woman that you've worked with that was great. So if you're listening to the podcast and you have had the honor to hire a company run by a business, just give a shout out to that company and say something nice about them.
Great idea.
Simply. So what are you most proud of?
Oh, I'm really proud that I think we are changing the narrative when it comes to women-owned business. I don't think we get the credit that we deserve as mothers, wives, community leaders, homeschoolers, and then also contributing to our families, our communities, our economy through these businesses. I want the world to see the value in women-owned business. I am unapologetically will admit I believe that women belong at the helm of small business because of the way that we think and act. And I'm really proud that with every event we host, collaboration we do, initiative we put out, we're helping to bring visibility to these women that work so hard and that are so smart and that are really, really great leaders.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And so what do you have coming in the next 12 months?
Yeah. So over the last 5 years, we have built the Women Entrepreneurs Inc. brand. I believe we've built a reputation that is built on our values that women are better together. And at this point, I am taking our brand, which has become a platform, and I'm using it as a conduit to bring opportunities to our members. So I am focused on building relationships with the grant award press, organizers and saying, listen, I've got 250 women over here that are very deserving. Women entrepreneurs are the busiest people on the planet. So if we can become that shortcut to get access to those opportunities, I would be so excited to revisit our businesses in a year from now and see how much we've grown because of the opportunities we can bring to their doorstep.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So before we wrap it up, what is your favorite book and why?
Probably the one I'm reading right now, Dare to Lead. I am late to the Brene Brown train, and shame on me because man, she's cool.
You're just in time for you.
What I am learning about being vulnerable, which ties in so well with visibility for many of us. We're not all natural, on stage, and we're not all naturals at being in the spotlight. But as founders, no one told me that as a business owner, I'd have to tell my personal story so many times. People want to know your story way more, before they will buy your products and services. So I am loving this book because it is teaching me that a lot of the things I thought were weaknesses in me are actually just part of me becoming a leader.
I love that. There's a quote that I probably won't give her justice right now, but there's a quote in the book that I actually have quoted her many times where trust, dare to lead, there's trust involved in that process, right? So it's probably the main ingredient, but the trust is built in the details. It's not built in a big action. It's not built in a big initiative. It's built in the consistency of your details with integrity.
And that is such an important part to remind women, because when it feels like becoming a champion for other women is too hard, you do have to remember that it could be as simple as liking her post or doing a
Yes.
warm introduction. And like you said, they're like the little marbles in the jar that Brene describes. That is how we build trust with one another in seconds in a day. And that is how the hashtag women become helping women actually becomes a movement.
Because you keep saying women helping women. So you see that logo in the back, the wow.
Yes.
So I'll tell you a quick story because I think you're going to love it because we are so in sync. So many, many years ago, that was a company I ran. 2004, I started it. And it was a co-op of low-income women, grandmothers and mothers in Argentina who were doing beautiful hand-knit and handloom clothing that I brought to the US. And the name of the company was WOWAS, Women Helping Women Initiative. And the way I marketed it was all in the marketing, right?
Yeah.
The product was exceptional, but I took it one step further. For every product that a woman bought, there was a tag that said who made it. And you could go to the website and read the story of the artist, of the person who crafted that clothing. And so we grew, and I was in the Miami Fashion Week, and we had, boutiques in Madison Avenue buying our stuff. But there was, of course, a great product, but a great story with a very clear goal that by buying this product, you are helping this mom stay home with her child. And by referring this product, you're adding and contributing in a socially focused for-profit business, because I love sometimes the power of a regular standard business where you exchange value for value.
Yep.
It wasn't a charity, it wasn't a nonprofit. It was like, I'm going to make something that you value. My role was to make that product visible. Mm-hmm. And the role of the person buying it was to not just wearing it with pride and look beautiful in it, but to recognize the amount of women helping women initiative that was happening in just that sweater.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Any parting thoughts? We have a task. Maybe you can remind people of the action we want people to take, right?
Absolutely. The getting reviews of our businesses from third parties is invaluable. It's like our currency for service providers. So if you have worked with a women-owned business and you want to thank her in a really big way, other than just paying her, writing a review on the comments of this podcast or putting it on her Facebook page or on LinkedIn, take 5 seconds and do it today for a women-owned business.
Love that. Maybe we can create a trend here, a campaign all around it. Maybe we should create a campaign. Let's talk about that offline. Any parting thoughts?
Parting thoughts would be get visible this year. Get visible this year. Grants, awards, press, speaking, and partnerships.
Love that. Grants, awards, press, speaking, and partnerships. You got your marching orders, girls. Go get them. Thank you, Melissa, for showing up today.
Thanks, Dolores.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Masters in Clarity. If you loved today's show, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Share this episode with 2 people in your world, and as a gift, go to mastersinclarity.com/free to download free clarity resources. Join your host, Dolores Hirschmann, next time to continue forging a clear path to your impactful success.